For today's news topic, it's something that I've been seeing all over my feed this week, and it is the verdict in the Karmelo Anthony case. So before I break things down, I want to show a photo if you're a visual person like me. So here is a photo of the two people involved in this case. The person to the left is Karmelo, and then the guy on the right is Austin Metcalf. Okay. So let's get into it. If you're like, what is happening? What is this case about? I'm going to break it down for you. So Anthony is, like I shared in the photo, Anthony is a high school or was a high school track athlete, and he was convicted in connection with the fatal stabbing of his fellow student athlete, Austin Metcalf, during a track meet in Frisco, Texas in April 2025. He was sentenced this week to 35 years in prison for murder, right? So the guy that I just showed you right here, Anthony to the left, was sentenced to 35 years in prison for fatally stabbing the guy to the right. And so reports say the incident happened during a track meet, like I mentioned, in 2025 in Texas. And Anthony ended up under another school's tent where he was reportedly asked to leave, right? He did not, and the situation escalated into a confrontation that ended with Metcalf being fatally stabbed. Karmelo's defense argued that he was acting in self-defense. The jury ultimately rejected that claim and found him guilty of murder. The case has sparked strong reactions online, with some saying the sentencing reflects accountability and justice, while others are saying that like the situation escalated quickly and there should have the jury should have selected like a lesser charge such as manslaughter, which does not require proof of intent to kill. Anthony has now appealed the conviction. The case has also fueled broader conversations around self-defense laws, racial disparities in the justice system, jury representation, and sentencings. His legal team says they plan to continue fighting the case through the appeals process. So I know I said a whole lot, but at the end of the day, both of these kids were student athletes. At the time of the incident, they were both, I believe, 17 years old. They both ran track. Karmelo Anthony, his name, Karmelo Anthony pulled up to the track meet. I guess it wasn't like a home game. It was at another spot. He pulls up. It starts raining, crazy weather. He goes under this tent. And then when he goes under this tent that wasn't a part of his school, the guys that were on that tent was like, you got to go. Anthony was like, I'm not leaving. And somewhere in this situation, Karmelo Anthony ends up stabbing Metcalf and he dies, right? So this whole legal thing happened, whatever. Now he was convicted of murder, right? Yes, the guy ended up killing the other guy, but a lot of people are saying that Karmelo Anthony killed this guy. Like, how do I say this? He didn't intentionally kill him. He felt like, I came under this tent, these guys were coming all up on me, and I felt like they were trying to do something to me. And in an act of self-defense, I defended myself and I stabbed this guy, but the intent was never for me to kill the person. I was just protecting myself. And so I'm going to share videos of Karmelo Anthony's parents. They have, during the trial, they had like a gag order, so no one could actually like speak out as what was happening. But now that the case is over, although it's going to be reopened or a new thing is going to happen because the family did in fact appeal, a lot of people are now speaking out. And I'm going to share a video from Karmelo Anthony's parents, but also the father of the guy that was killed in this incident. So this interview that I'm going to show you guys is from The Breakfast Club, and it is from Karmelo Anthony's parents.
I want to go back to that day, that track meet. Were you guys at the event, at that track meet on April 2nd?
No, we were not. I was actually supposed to go to the track meet, but the weather was so bad, I just stayed home. It's like, Mama, don't come, just stay home. Mm-hmm. And now, looking back on everything, I wish I was there. I regret not being there for my child.
When did you hear the news that there had been an incident that day?
I received an email saying that there was an incident. No phone call, no anything.
You know how
my instinct was because Karmelo, he's the type of child to let me know everything that's going on, and it wasn't like him to not call me and tell me what was going on. So when I received the email, we have Life 360. So I went into Life 360. I'm like, wait, they said the buses made it back to the school, but Karmelo location is still stating that he's at the stadium. Like, what's going on? So I headed to the school, and that's how I found out what happened.
And how I found out, I was actually in a work meeting, and when she first called me, I thought it was because it was right after April Fools. I was like, oh, y'all playing this, because he doesn't, this is not him. Yeah. So I was like, oh, you playing, all right, whatever. But she was like, no, he was involved in the stabbing. So when we heard that, I didn't know what happened at the time. And they kept us from everything. Like, they kept us, so we running around from place to place.
So that is, those are Karmelo Anthony's parents, and they shared, as you guys saw, how they found out what was happening with his son, which in itself is, if a student is involved in a fatal stabbing, what do you mean you're emailing the parents? Like, that is something I remember, like, just something simple, like there was a verbal altercation in school. They're calling the parents, like, you need to do this. So that in itself, I think, is insane. Why are you emailing parents in something that's such a serious situation? And then the second clip that I'm going to play from the same interview from the Breakfast Club is the parents kind of explaining why they feel that this trial was a setup from the beginning. So let's listen to that one.
Karmelo tell you happened that day at the track meet?
He was sitting there seeing his friend. Once you get the reports and everything, he was actually his girlfriend's cousin invited him to the tent. Mm-hmm. So when they invited him to the tent, just, hey, what's going on, such and such. It was raining. He sat there. Then as you know it, you had these two guys who approached him. Even seeing the video in court, it was like, I know y'all see this. And we got comfortable with the instructions that we was told. We was told not to say nothing. We was told not to do this. So we did everything we did. We followed all instructions and we were told. Hey, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. Hey, don't talk to this person, don't talk to this person. It was all this. And look what happened to my son.
It sounds like you wish you had talked more, that you had said more, that you had got your story out more.
So that is the other part, right? They feel like, first of all, there's so many different stories. Like, some people are saying that, like, Anthony just went to the tent, as you guys saw from the parents. The parents are saying that Karmelo Anthony's girlfriend's cousin invited him to the tent. So there's a lot of he said, she said situations. But at the end of this clip, you heard the parents saying, like, they were told, oh, you should get like a white attorney to help fight this crime, because it'll probably be better for you. You shouldn't speak to any media outlets about it. Yes, he had a gag order, so they kind of didn't have a choice on that. But the parents feel like they were forced to stay shut about this, and they feel like if they would have gotten their story out there earlier, maybe they could have had a different result. But now I want to share the Metcalf's side of the story. So this is a clip from the Metcalf's dad, who, he did lose a son at the end of the day. And then we're going to unpack. There's a lot to unpack here, but let's hear the dad.
Metcalf was in court every day of Anthony's trial. The 19-year-old, now convicted murderer, not only took his son Austin's life, he did it right in front of Austin's twin brother, Hunter.
What killed me was the body cam footage when I could hear Hunter screaming. Oh God, my brother, my twin. as a parent, you always want to protect your kids. And to hear my son and the fear in his voice, and I'm not there to fix it.
What was it like sitting in that courtroom with Karmelo Anthony for 5 or 6 days?
Challenging is the first word that comes to my mind. And I'll even say this. I had a little bit of sorrow because I'm human. And that poor boy is fixing to experience a life that I would not wish upon anyone.
Metcalf says even today he's received death threats and has previously endured doxing of his personal information and multiple swatting calls to his house from people who he says have tried to villainize Austin and the family.
I would hope they take a look in the mirror. And if you have children, and if it was your child who was murdered, would you like people dragging his name through the mud, making memes, making jokes, and just really vile comments?
Where do you and the Metcalf family go from here?
Well, I mean, this is day one of a long healing process. Because honestly, it's been impossible to start healing until this trial was complete.
The trial may be over, but the racial polarization among Americans on display outside the Collin County Courthouse continues.
Look at the effect, not just the effect here between the Metcalf family and the Anthony family. Look what it did, one, to those kids they have to live with. Two, it took on this huge, wider, let's have a race war throughout the nation.
Metcalf insists that his son had no racist motives when he approached Anthony about leaving a track team tent.
This case was never about race.
There's going to be those people now that just, try to throw shade on the whole trial with the jury makeup and the speed of it and that sort of thing. I mean,
well, those are the same people that said he was jumped by 4 people. His phone was broken. You're going to spin whatever story to try to keep yourself afloat.
Metcalf believes Anthony should have received a life sentence. He says if Anthony is up for parole in 17 years, he will be there in some form to argue against it.
If I'm still alive, yes, I will be there in person. If not, I am going to make a video, if I'm passed on, that can be played.
So overall, I think the main arcing issue here is who gets the right to claim self-defense. Because I think we've seen several times over and over again where a white person does something and they say, oh, I did this in an act of self-defense. When it's against a person of color and it is acceptable. Like, oh, well, of course you were scared about this Black person walking down the street and approaching you. Like, of course. But when it is the other way around and a person of color says, oh, I didn't feel safe, it's like, why would you not feel safe? And I think also the other point that I think people are getting misconstrued is not that people are arguing that Karmelo Anthony should not face consequences, because yes, at the end of the day, regardless of intent or not, he did kill somebody due to a stabbing. I think the issue is they had deliberations and in less than 3 hours, they decided that they could have, and they convicted him of murder, right? And people are saying, when you say murder, you need to prove, right, that Karmelo Anthony went under that tent and had the intent, like, oh, I'm going under this tent to kill Austin Metcalf. And people are arguing that Karmelo Anthony didn't go to this track meet with intentions to kill this person, right? They're saying he could have, been convicted of manslaughter, which, yes, you still got to pay for your crimes because you did end up killing somebody. But the intent element of the intent element is not there, right? Like, yes, you killed somebody, but your intent was never to kill a person. So I think the reason why this case is so, heartbreaking and infuriating, yes, someone was killed, but again, Black people of color can never be like, oh, I was scared and that's why I defended myself. And time again, we see that. And now this 19-year-old guy will be in prison for 35 years.
And it's just, I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because there's just so many thoughts that's going through my head, and it really boils down to this simple aspect. Everybody loves to say we make everything about race, but they don't realize that race is a social construct that is built not only based off of spewed narratives, but based off of the standards you set for certain races, the stereotypes you set for certain races, and what you deem acceptable for certain races. Correct? So Shayla and I have even experienced this in the lighter sense in workplaces, correct? Where if one of my counterparts who's not a person of color or Black, if they act a particular way, the reaction to them is going to be completely different versus me, because there's already this set stereotype against me that I am automatically the aggressor. I'm automatically the person who's going to take it there. My reaction is always going to be the most volatile. My reaction is always going to be deemed worse than my counterparts. Why? Because those set stereotypes, those set standards, those set attributes against Black women is automatically always going to be at the forefront of your mind, right? So now when we talk about this case, and Shayla, you bring up an excellent point. When it comes to race, the notion of self-defense is always going to be deemed differently for a person of color or Black person versus someone who is fair-skinned or white. It's just realistic, right? Because then the people who want to sit here and say, I'm not saying Karmelo Anthony does not deserve to go to jail, because honestly, in the sad sense of this, 2 families have been ruined by this case. Like Austin Metcalf's family, they lost a son. Karmelo Anthony's family, they lost a son. One is physically not here, and one is going to spend his life, almost basically majority of his life, behind a cell, right? And when the moment I heard about this case, the thing I automatically thought about was the case that recently happened with, I believe his name was Rick Chow, how they found him not guilty for shooting.
It was like at a gas station, right?
Yes. And like him and his son chased this boy for like 10 plus miles or something along the lines of that, and shot him in the back. And he was told they decided that he was not guilty for all the evidence and everything that they heard, every story that they heard. They said they deemed him not guilty of murder because he was protecting himself. He was protecting his store. He was this, that, and the third. You thought he stole 5-10 water bottles. Listen, I'm the facts I'm giving you aren't all the way like correct, but basically that's the gist of it. But to me, I'm like, that story doesn't even make any sense, because if somebody stole water bottles, and as people who have worked in retail, Shayla, what's the first thing they tell you? If somebody's stealing, you're not chasing them.
Right.
You go after them.
1,000%.
As someone who's worked in retail, I've been told that in every job. Why? Why? A water bottle, if it was true that he was stealing water bottles, what is $2.50 for a water bottle going to do?
Taking someone's life versus a water bottle is just insanity to me. And again, it just proves, like in this case, the person that claimed self-defense was believed. Right. And I think
it even goes back as far as Trayvon Martin. You thought because he had a hoodie that he was automatically this villain, that he was automatically doing this, he was automatically doing that. He had a gun in his pocket. I thought he was going to kill me. Whole time it's iced tea and Skittles. Like, it's like, oh, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because it's like, how many times does things like this have to happen before you're like, where, like, it's unfair. Like,
yeah, it's 1,000% infuriating. And even like in day-to-day life, the amount of times that I could say the exact same thing that my white counterparts can say, but it is taken in a completely different way just simply because of the way I look. Oh, you have an attitude, or oh, you think you run stuff, or oh, this, that, the third. Like, you literally feel like even in corporate America, you gotta, tippy toe your way. You can't. Honestly, there are times where I'm like, mind you, I think that I am super nice, but there are several times where I gotta like pass an email through my friend, and I'm like, hey, like, do you think this sounds rude or not? Because literally every day you have to kind of accommodate yourself to this white centered world, right? I could say the same exact thing, but it's taken in a completely different way because of how I look. And I know people are always like, oh, it's not about race, it's not about race, it's not about race. But we see it
It's easy
time
to
and
say
time
that.
again.
It's easy to say that it's not about race when you are not impacted. Like
Right.
literally yesterday, I had a conversation with my boss because we had all the higher ups in the building, and she was like, "Oh, let's make sure like what kind of behavior are we going to have today?" I looked at her dead in her face and I said, "I'm going to behave like Rebecca, just like they behave like themselves. I'm going to behave like me. And if there's a problem, that sounds like something you need to find in a math problem. That doesn't sound like something that's for me." And my boss looked at me dead in my face and was like, "Rebecca," and I said, "Yes." Because one thing about it, I have always been this type of person. I do not sit here and try to cater or pander to white people at all. And if you're offended by that, that sounds like a personal issue. And you need to sit down with a therapist to figure that out, right? I do not choose to make myself digestible for nobody. I don't care about the race. I don't care about the room. I don't try to make myself digestible because at the end of the day, am I living comfortable for me? I already have this notion. I have the understanding that when it comes to my skin color, there's automatically going to be these perceptions when it comes to me. There's already going to be these stereotypes set for me. And I don't have to live by the notions that a society has sat there and put for me. But that does not negate. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was gonna say, I know we don't try to, but at the end of the day, the reality is that we do shift a little bit. Even if you don't realize it, we enter certain rooms and we do shift. Not 1,000%, because at the end of the day, just us how we look, like there's no assimilation for real. Like I pull up and it is what it is, Caribbean for life. But you know what I mean? Like us unconscious, can't even say the word, like unconsciously. That's not a word. Unconsciously, it does happen. If you're in a room with just a gajillion white people, and just honestly, I feel
like that shift comes not from like a space of like, oh, I need to pander to these people. It's more of a space of uncomfortability. You're moving based off of emotion, not because you have an understanding that, oh, I need to pander myself to these white folks.
Right. No, 1,000%. And the last thing that I want to discuss is like the jury element of this all, because the jury was all white. And so I think oftentimes, even me, when I get a little jury letter, I'm like dreading it. Like, oh, I don't want to be a part of this. I don't want to this. I don't want to that. But it is so important. This is why I stress news and being a part of your local situation, because whether you like it or not, it's going to affect you. You know what I mean?
I just wanted to say really quickly. So the jury apparently reportedly had, it was consistent of both men and women. It reportedly included 3 Asian women, a Hispanic male, and 1 Middle Eastern woman, apparently, according to reports.
So no black people.
Yes. Like I'm just.
Oh, okay.
Before somebody's like, well, there were minorities there. I don't know why people assume, just like Shayla said, like, not all minorities are a monolith. Like, just because, like, do we not see the racial tensions between the Asian community and black people all the time? Like, there's even tensions between race and stuff like that, even within our own communities. Prime example, Dominican, DR and Haiti. Like, that's just like, just because, oh, you're a minority or a person of color or this, that does not mean that I view you the same, because a lot of times these areas automatically consider whiteness to be superior.
Right. Yeah.
And
I just want to say, if you get a little jury notice, please show up. Please do it. I know it's annoying. Like, if you're like me, I'm very much routine based. Like, what you mean now I gotta go here? It is so important for you to be active in your community. You know what I mean? I know it's not for everybody, but just try, because at the end of the day, you know who will always show up? White people. They're gonna be at the local little meetings. Oh, I don't want this project being a part of my community. Oh, I don't want this affordable housing plan to be in my community. Like, they're always going to show up. They are going to vote. And so you could complain all you want, but if you're not actively working and engaging in your community, you will not see change. And I know sometimes it seems like, why I don't want to do this, I don't want to do this, but little by little, things will matter. I don't know. I don't know how else to explain that.
I just want to, like, before we move on to the next topic, like, I just want to reiterate, in this case, 2 families lost. Like, regardless of how you want to put it, 2 families lost. One lost his son and the other one lost their son as well. Like, 2 families lost their children in this case, correct? I'm not saying Karmelo Anthony does not deserve to go to jail. What I'm saying is, like, on a fact-based system, when we look at the defense of self-defense, ask yourself, why do certain cases get preferential treatment to that defense of self-defense over other people? And when you look at that, ask yourself, why does it seem like a certain race does get more of that? Okay, yes, it's true for them versus another person. Like, I need us to be realistic as a society. And I think that's why things get so problematic, because everything doesn't need to be this grandiose, like, debate. It doesn't have to be that. The fact that a Black man, well, he's a man now. It happened when he was 17. He's 19 now. I mean, you could still consider him a teen, but technically in the eyes of the law, he's a man, right? When it comes to these cases, like, you cannot tell me that it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't know what his law team was doing. I don't understand. Like, I don't know if you ever watched a show Bull. Like, when you're going through jury duty, like, both of these attorneys, the defense attorney and the prosecutor's office, is there, and they're going through jury deliberation. They're the ones picking. I don't understand what the mindset was like for I don't get it. And I try not to look too much into this case, because as y'all can tell, I was just getting emotional thinking about, like, being in that type of situation. But I just don't understand us as a society. Like, y'all can't tell me facts don't look like facts to y'all. Like, what?
It is super infuriating, and I'm sure we will continue to hear lots about this case. As we mentioned, Anthony and his family has appealed the conviction, so there's definitely going to be a lot more to be discussed in the future.